This is why I think functional training is the best kind of training that everyone should realistically be prioritizing above anything else. First, let me frame what I mean about functional training, because after all, functional can mean functional for very specific things. For example, you might want to get functional at playing darts. In that case, you need to drink loads of beer and get overweight and stand there and do this for hours on end. What I'm talking about when I mean functional is general preparedness. And I'm not talking about the CrossFit style of general preparedness. I'm talking about having things that look after your longevity, but also give you the ability to perform and have your body perform when you really need it, in terms of being able to be explosive, being able to be strong, but also having a body that can perform for an extended period of time if it needs to. And also bear in mind that we're not professional athletes, or most people are not trying to be professional athletes. We live in a three-dimensional world, and not everything you see in the world, in the real life, has a bar attached to it. And, you know, what you find in the gym is that everything you do is usually sat down or you grab and hold of the bar. This is not how we operate in the real world. When we pick things up in the real world or move things, we're adding rotation into it. We're adding this transverse plane of motion with your bodybuilding kind of general. And the main problem with most fitness programs is they're very limited in their scope. They say, right, you want to build muscle? We're going to treat you like a bodybuilder. You want to have a really good engine? We're going to treat you like a marathon runner. But there are better things to do in the gym than focus on those two disciplines, because you can get more bang for your buck by using some of those techniques, but having a more three-dimensional focus to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of your individual kind of main goals that most people want, and I'm going to look at them and say, well, this is what you want, this is how you can achieve it, but with functional training. So your goal might be strength training. You want to get stronger. Well, there's more to strength training than just bench presses, deadlifts, and back squats. Now, I do these movements, but I don't prioritize them because there are other things to do. And I know for a fact that I'm better at those movements because of the unilateral training or the functional training that I do. It has a bigger payoff in the real world. It fills in the blanks. And at the end of the day, when it comes to functional training, it more closely represents our movement patterns. We don't walk around hopping on two legs. We step. When we pull a door open, we pull with one arm. We don't stand and pull ourselves to it from this position. So it has a bigger payoff. What about building muscle? Your job may be, or your goal might just be, say, I want to build as much muscle as possible. I'm working at a pretty big gym. They have so much equipment here, and I've barely used any of it. It's not to say that the equipment doesn't work. All these kind of things, chest presses, pull downs, incline, decline, hack squat, all this kind of stuff. Does it work? Yes, of course it works. But for me, they're not the most effective things that you can do. That, like I said in the previous one, is to fill in the blanks. They're not practical lifts. You can do those same movements. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can build muscle, but you can also be more functional. You can add your core, you can add balance, coordination. You can bring all of those things into it and get the exact same results and more. And this is what functional training does, is it allows you to adapt to your style of training, to tick all those boxes. And I'll be honest, I've got plenty of muscle. I don't need any more muscle. I'm not trying to be a competitive bodybuilder. But I would guarantee this, if all I focused on was functional bodybuilding and not just traditional bodybuilding, I doubt there'll be many differences in results, except for if I needed to leg it in some kind of emergency. I guarantee I'd be in a better position to do it because sprints would be a part of my functional training work. What about fitness? Everyone knows that, being fit is good. So for fitness, yes, you need to do that long duration stuff. No, you don't. You rarely don't. People spend way too long flogging themselves with these overly long, potentially long-term hazardous HIIT workouts. Let's switch out the word HIIT and fitness and change it to conditioning, because it becomes a little bit something a little bit different. It becomes a little bit more focused. It becomes a little bit more scientific. And it's not you just a question of just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. I hope I get fit doing this. You don't know what the consequences of you jumping over a box or doing 100 box jumps in a session are going to be long term to your knees, your ankles, your back. It's unnecessary. Don't be fooled by this kind of CrossFit mentality where every workout is a fitness test. What you need to do with your fitness work is shorten it, make it a little bit more concise, make it short bursts of high intensity work, but also high quality work. This way, again, you get the best of everything. You get the fitness component, you get the conditioning and skill component, but you also look after your body. So by the time you're in your next decade or the decade after that, you're not just a broken mess thinking, Jesus, I wish I'd looked after myself a little bit better when I was jumping up and down 100 times doing those stupid box jumps. So let me give you a good example of what a good functional training workout looks like for someone who wants a broad spectrum of different kind of training modalities. Let's say they want to be a little bit stronger, have a little bit more muscle, and a little bit fitter. The same 3 points. So let's say it's a upper body day. You'd come in, you do your mobilization, you do all this kind of stuff, 5-10 minutes, you finish with it, you're looking after your body before it gets broken. Then you're going to add a bit of power, you might do some speed presses on the ball, you might add a little bit of rotation, throw a bit of power into that side of it. So you're priming your body, you're teaching it a skill, you're teaching how to coordinate, how to rotate, how to catch, how to balance, how to position yourself for maximum force production. So there's a skill element to it. After that, you might say, well, I'm going to do a strength exercise. I'm going to do 3 sets of 6 reps of single arm, heavy single arm presses. Brilliant for your chest development, brilliant for your strength development. You might then move on to a secondary exercise. I'm going to do something a little bit more simple. I might do some alternating incline presses. So again, you're working the chest muscles the same as a bodybuilder, but you're working them in a slightly different way. Same tools, just a different way of using them. After that, you might do some supporting exercises. You might think, I want to work a little bit on the mirror muscles. I'll do a little bit of shoulders, a little bit of triceps. But then I'm going to add a finisher to the end of it because I want to work on the fitness. I want to burn those calories. I want to get that fat off that I'm still holding on to from Christmas. So you do a little relevant session where it's more front of the body based. It might be a squat and a throw. It might be some conditioning work where you're standing, throwing ball against the wall. You might do some sled pushes. And it takes 10 minutes and you're absolutely smoked at the end of it. You're dripping with sweat. And it's the culmination of a well-planned session. And you have the confidence that when you come in the next day, it's like, well, I've done the front of my body today. Now I'm going to do the back of my body, the upper part of the back of my body. I'm going to do my same thing. I'm going to do back. I'm going to do lats. I'm going to do slams. I'm going to add some rotation. I'm going to do a finisher at the end of it that is relevant. I might do some sled drags. I might do some ball slams. I might do some planks. And the same thing again, you might switch to a lower body. That sounds to me much more interested and a little bit more practical than, what's today? Chest day. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do 3 sets of 15, 10, 15 on the bench. Then I'm going to move to an incline. Then I'm going to move to a decline. Then I'm going to do some flies. Then I'm going to do some triceps. I'm going to sit on the end of the bench and look at TikTok in between each set. And then I'm going to go home and have a protein shake, chicken and broccoli. It's moronic. It's boring. There are far better things to do in the gym than just your cut and paste bodybuilding kind of workout. Yes, I get it. You want muscle, you want strength, you want power. But why not just get them in a far better, more intelligent way?